And the great news for those of you who are Broncos fans, whether you're in listening on SENQ or not, Broncos fans, Coach Michael Maguire has confirmed Adam Reynolds will remain Brisbane's captain in 2025. He is joined by his leadership group, which already had Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas and Katoni Staggs, and Ben Hunt has been added to that leadership group. Fairly strong leadership group there.
Yeah, 100%. You've got, that's right. You've got a whole bunch of guys who could probably be captain themselves. So it'll be interesting to see. And as we mentioned earlier on, Reynolds has a lot of time on the sideline with injuries. Hopefully he has an injury-free season this year. But you've got blokes like, Ben Hunt, Carrigan, as you mentioned, that could all do the job.
Who do you see if he is on the sideline out of that leadership group? So we've got Ben Hunt, Carrigan, Payne Haas, Katoni Staggs. Say we do have a heaven forbid, an Adam Reynolds injury, or instead of injury, let's say suspension because he gets aggro or does something crazy, right? Because I don't want him getting injured. But, say there's for whatever reason he's got a couple of weeks on the sideline. Who do you see stepping in as the captain out of that leadership group?
Carrigan, to me, strikes me as a natural leader. I've liked what he's produced. He's, good go forward. He dominates on the field. So he'd be a guy, I reckon, anyway, amongst that kind of team. Right? A younger bloke.
He has been known to step on Renault's toes or his shoes. Remember that little scrap they had too. Yeah, Brisbane fans, let us know. Who do you think would step into that slot were Adam Reynolds to take a couple of weeks on the sideline this season? Now, moving from that to something a little more perplexing. It's never great news for St George fans when they're in the news at the moment. Francis Molo has been granted leave. His Dragons career appears over after he's refused to train. Michael Karianis on the Boys of Summer this morning had this to say about the Francis Molo situation.
Frank Molo hasn't been at Dragons training for about 10 days now.
Wow.
Which is remarkable in itself, the fact that it's sort of taken this long to come out a little bit because he's a big name, played Origin, only re-signed with the Dragons last April for a further 2 years.
Wow.
And he's intimated to those close to him he doesn't want to play for the Dragons. He wants out.
But his brother's there too.
His Michael Molo's there, also re-signed. So Francis Molo has indicated to those close to him that he doesn't want to play for the Dragons anymore. What those reasons are, I'm not exactly sure as to why it's come to this. Speaking of people, apparently his relationship with Shane Flanagan's really good. Right. So it's not like there hasn't been a fallout. There's been no off-field drama with him. But the fact is he's come to the conclusion that he wants out of the Dragons.
Yeah, interesting times, mate. You know what I loved about Michael Karianis there? He called Francis Molo Frank Molo at the start.
I like that. I like a Frank.
Yeah, and it made it sound like he owns a shoe shop down in Hurstville, don't you reckon? Frank Molo's shoes.
Come down to Frank Molo's shoes for all your back-to-school needs. Maybe that's why he's not training.
Maybe, yeah.
Setting up the shop.
He's working the shop up. But it is interesting, and you brought this point up to me off-air before the show, was how long would anyone else last by not turning up to work for, 10 days or
2 weeks? Yeah. It's an odd one that it's gone this long. And as the great MC pointed out there, it's odd that because he's a high-profile player, that it took this long to even come out that he's refusing to go to training. And by all accounts, his relationship with Shane Flanagan's fine. His brother still signed at the Dragons.
You're saying he doesn't like his brother, maybe.
Yeah, do we have... Oh, imagine that. We've got an Oasis situation going on.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's good.
I don't want to get involved. Actually, you know what? I don't want to get involved in Molo family politics. Let's not go down that line too hard. But, certainly something very odd going on there. Not sure what it is, but you know what? You get to the point where if there's a guy who doesn't want to be at a club and you need players to be happy where they are.
Yeah, 100%. And we already heard this week that Shane Flanagan is on the lookout for middles, and that's what looks like he might lose. So, yeah, interesting times at the Dragons. I've actually got some breaking NRLW news.
I like this.
And everyone's looking at me here like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, Social Sam's head's on a swivel in there in the producer's room.
Yeah. And we've got two brand new teams coming into this year's tournament. We've got the New Zealand Warriors who are returning, and we've got the Canterbury Bulldogs. Well, the Canterbury Bulldogs coach Blake Cavallaro has stepped away or been stood down from the role. It's happened in the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes, so I have no
Really?
reason why.
You've gone full Michael Carrianis. You're breaking
you
news.
like this?
Have
Yeah.
we got a breaking news stinger or something we can do?
I like it.
It's not usually a run-home thing, I don't think.
They're also Googling it in there just to make sure I'm 100% right, and I am right, so thank you. There you
Wow,
go.
so they're a new side into the competition,
Yep.
and the coach is sacked before the first whistle.
Yeah, sack's a harsh word, but I think stepped away stepped down, one of the two. But yeah, interesting times because obviously they're building a new. I know Gus Gould was heavily involved. Did a gig with Gus. Am I bruising? That was
Yeah,
a Bruce.
that's a big Bruce.
That was a definite Bruce. Where I actually quizzed him a fair bit about the Bulldogs NRLW team, and he said that he's been heavily involved with them in particular. So he's been helping out in the recruiting of the NRLW Bulldogs team, and he's also been in and around the training sessions and whatnot. So yeah, interesting to see what happens out of that.
And we can see here, I see where you got your breaking news. This is in the Daily Telegraph. Pam Whaley, Canterbury Bulldogs set to part ways with NRLW coach Blake Cavallaro before the inaugural season. So either your money, you're on the money, or you pay money for a Daily Telegraph subscription and read it quicker than the guys in the room can. Yeah, interesting. The Bulldogs will confirm in the coming days. It was set to be his first season in the role after his appointment was announced in May last year. A search has started for his immediate replacement. Well, not sure who's in the mix in that sense for the NRLW coaching, but
Joshy Reynolds is in around the Bulldogs, right? I don't know what his specific role is, apart from just annoying everyone in the sheds and the training. And I love the grub; he's a legend. But yeah, look, it'd be interesting to see whether or not that we'll obviously find out the reasons why somewhere down the track. But maybe there was an assistant coach already willing to step up to the job, or maybe the great Gus Gould will take over.
How good would that be to see Gus on back coaching from the sideline, like back the old days, the Panthers.
Yeah.
Now, while we're talking about coaching, Manly Seagulls coach Anthony Seibold was on Mornings with Matty this morning, and he spoke about the rumours surrounding Tom Trbojevic playing at number 6 this year.
Yeah, well, to answer your question, no, Turbo won't be playing 6 this year. Turbo will play fullback. He's the if not the elite fullback in the game, certainly in the top 2 fullbacks in the game, in my opinion.
Mate, I was surprised you didn't call him Anthony Seibold.
Very
really
good.
Sieve earlier on. But yeah, that's big news because it was obviously rumoured there for a while that he was going to be moving into the halves because there was a chat about Cherry Evans potentially even wrapping up mid-season or
the end of the season, I think.
Yeah.
So that was the talk that maybe they'd move him to 6 next year. It always struck me as an odd move.
Yeah.
Like, Tommy Turbo, like he is such a pure fullback that I don't know if you. I mean, unless he's playing rep and then he's a centre. But
yeah, you know this news like the super coach nufties, and I love them. They're just like, oh yeah, how good's this? Where's he go now? There would have been WhatsApp groups going, what did you hear? Turbo's not playing 6. Where do we put him in the team now? Because Supercoach opened this week, which is exciting.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I'll have to get onto that. Now is like. Siebes also talked about the competition in the back line. Maybe that was it. Turbo was saying, look, I'll play 6. There's too much competition in the back line. This is what he had to say on Mornings with Matty this morning.
Lehigh will be competing for a spot in, the centre wing positions for the start of the season, and we need that depth, mate. If we're going to, continue to improve, we need competition for spots, and we need depth in our back line. And guys like Jason Saab's had an off-season surgery. He had a tightrope inserted after the first time he played the Bulldogs at the back end of the year, so he's still in reconditioning at the moment. Tommy Talau's had wisdom teeth pulled out over the pre-season, so again that slowed him up a little bit. So yeah, but you always need that depth, and so the great thing is you've got competition for spots. We've got 6 genuinely, in my opinion, elite backs fighting for those 5 positions.
Okay, so the
that.
surgeries. Did he say tightrope inserted?
Oh yeah, I want to know if it was tight.
That sounds like a threat, mate. I'm going to insert a tightrope into you.
Yeah, and who was walking across it?
Yeah.
At any point, and yeah, was
Wisdom teeth out.
Yeah, that's look.
Okay.
How do you have backup for wisdom teeth? Like, because he goes, he mentioned wisdom teeth, and then he goes, it's good to have a lot of backup. So are they at training this?
Well, that's too much backup in your mouth. That's the problem with the wisdom teeth, causing trouble. There was backline issues for him as well.
Well, it says here a tightrope is a braided
Polyethylene?
Yes, cord that's surgically inserted into the ankle to stabilise it after an injury.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, good. Little bit of medical news as well. Okay, heading across the ditch, New Zealand Warriors head coach has spoken to their website about who will be the new captain at the Warriors. This has been the big chat, and SEN, Sports Nation listeners in New Zealand, enjoy this.
It should speak for itself. I think it should be really obvious. I mean, as a staff and as a playing group, whoever that person is, you want to make sure that there is a process to it and there is some education. One, do they all want to be captain?
Yep.
Not everyone wants to be captain. So you could say, oh, why doesn't he do it? And they're like, no, brother, like, that's not me. I just want to follow. But yeah, we've got some real good candidates. I think I'm going to put in some scenarios and give them some space too. Because Tori has retired, there's people you can tell that want it and have already upped the ante in their leadership. So that's pretty cool to see. But we don't have to make that call now.
I like this. He's putting them in scenarios like some sort of role-playing game.
It's Survivor. It's like because he said he wants, like, they might not all want to be captain. So did he just walk in and goes, all right, who wants to be captain? Put your hand up, right? And he was like, all right, 12 of you, come over here. The rest of you bugger off. And then he started to role play.
You know what scenarios I like? I recently on a family holiday, we did an escape room.
Oh.
Mate, I think escape room to find out who's going to be the Warriors captain. That's, wow, that's, now you're adding some intrigue. Yeah, and if you are listening across the ditch, let us know, 8833. Let us know who you think might be. There's names up for consideration. These are the names that have been thrown around recently. Yeah. Mitch Barnett stood in as interim captain last year when Tohu Harris was out. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, he was a former captain in his first stint at the club.
Yeah, JFH.
Yes, across from the Panthers. We were talking about, yesterday we were talking a little bit about the amount of ex-Panthers players who go to a new club and end up captaining. I think James Fisher-Harris, I think he's got captain gravitas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if I'm in an escape room with him and he says, Barney, do that puzzle, I'm doing that puzzle.
He strikes me as the kind of guy, once he couldn't work out how to get out, to just rip the door off. Actually, that's Matt Lodge. Anyway.
Yeah. No. Speaking of James Fisher-Harris, though, Andrew Webster had this to say about his new enforcer.
The big thing about Fish is he doesn't have to talk. Just him walking into the facility has increased our intensity of training, the way we are willing to go at each other in a really cool-headed way. And then every now and then he just adds bits of gold. You know, he'll say something and everyone listens. Like the whole room goes silent. And he's got a lot to offer and a lot of experience, you know. And he's not – he does communicate well. It's just that if he doesn't feel like he's got something to say, he won't waste the air with it. And when he does talk, it has a big impact.
Wow, I like that. He doesn't have to talk. That says a lot about how scared everyone is of him when you don't want to be on the wrong side of him.
My wife tells me that all the time. It's like, maybe just shut up for a little while, will you? But, yeah, he does have that presence. I think it's a presence, isn't it? It's, multiple premiership winner. Has done it for his country, and he's now obviously moved there and brand new club. It strikes me as the perfect kind of leader.
100%. Yeah, I think he's a good. As much as I'd like to see Mitch Barnett get it, I do think James Fisher-Harris has just got that. He's got the presence that you want, and you know what? And it is good to see a Kiwi captaining the New Zealand Warriors. I really like that.
What, you're still here? Well, you can see more on the Joel and Fletch socials and catch us live on SEN Radio, you beautiful humans.